Nothing comes easy, does it? The Bills playing at home against a rookie quarterback, a bad team. They are missing their best player. They haven't thrown a touchdown pass in over a month. And it takes them 59 minutes and 59 seconds to beat them. You already know the Bills narrowly escaped Minnesota. 17-16, Orton to Watkins for the win. Words can't really describe what I was feeling at that moment, but you know what? It was a win. And I was going nuts. I was working, going up and down the stairs, high-fiving everyone. Those are the kind of moments that you're just not really used to the Bills being in, really. And now they've had 3 of them this season, against Chicago, against Detroit, and against, most recently, obviously, against Minnesota. So they're 4-3. They're about 3 plays away from being 1-6, just like the Jets who they play this Sunday, but I'm going to get to that in a second. Not a lot went right for the Bills against Minnesota for most of the game. It was not a pretty game. They committed 4 turnovers. 2 of them were in the red zone. It's the most turnovers they've committed since being blown out by Tampa Bay last year, where they committed 5. And trust me, I remember that because I was at that game in Tampa Bay, and that was just brutal. Red flags. Kyle Orton. Under Kyle Orton's leadership, the Bills have committed 8 turnovers in 3 games. 8. That's 3 interceptions, which are all on him. 5 fumbles, 2 of which are on him. So he's turned it over 5 times in 3 games. So, I mean, we kind of knew that's what we were getting with Kyle Orton. He could move the ball, but, yeah, there's some downside to him. It's kind of like Fitz, to be honest with you. But he's doing a pretty good job of, like I said, I mentioned it multiple times, throwing receivers open, finding open guys. I don't think you can make the argument the offense isn't better off with him than with Manuel, at least at the moment. I'm still really, not okay with the turnover situation. You can't be turning the ball over 8 times in 3 games, and they're 2-1. That's incredible. So we talk about winning ugly. I've talked about winning ugly on here before. You have to win those ugly games. Minnesota's a team, in my opinion, the Bills should have just handled. They didn't do that. It ended up being ugly, and the Bills came out on top. It's the same thing against Detroit. It was ugly, but they come out on top, and if you want to be taken seriously in the NFL, when you play ugly, hopefully it's not that often. It really can't be this often. But when you do play ugly, you need to come out on top and come away with the win. And that's what the Bills did. So I can't be mad about that, even though I was just furious for 59 minutes of the game. I got to be completely honest with you. I pretty much gave up when Orton got sacked and it was 4th and 20. Pretty much gave up at that point. I was ready to call it a loss. I mean, the odds in that play are just so low. I know, and I apologize. Really, I apologize. I apologize to you. I apologize to Kyle Orton and Scott Chandler and the entire Buffalo Bills organization. I apologize because I figured it was over then, and I'm not the only one. Don't act like if you were at that game, you might not have gotten up prior to that play and left. Well, what were some standouts? I mean, negatively, the offensive line was bad. Again, Orton got sacked 6 times. The Bills committed 8 penalties. They're 3rd in the league in penalties. They have to start limiting those. They had the 2 red zone turnovers, 2 fumbles, 1 by Orton, 1 by Hogan, that essentially took points off the board. It all sounds bad. And then, at the end of the game, they rise up with a 15-play, 80-yard drive led by Orton. Huge plays along the way, not only from Sammy Watkins, but Scott Chandler and Chris Hogan making the play down to the 2. Even though he got tackled at the 1. I don't get why that was at the 2. But that's all for naught at this point. Chandler with a huge drop also but comes up huge with the 4th and 20 reception. And that's just a play the Bills just haven't run that well, is the seam throw to the tight end. And it was there. They took it. Looked like Chad Greenway was a little off balance at the snap. Took advantage of it. Perfect. What a play. That's the kind of play that if it happens to the Bills, you're pretty positive they're going to lose. But this time, the shoe's on the other foot. The Bills pull off 4th and 20. They overcome an intentional grounding play in the last minute with a 10-second runoff, and they win the game. It was incredible. They ride the coattails of Kyle Orton and Sammy Watkins, who had 9 catches for 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tell me he wasn't worth next year's first. Tell me. And I will tell you that you're wrong. That's the kind of player, I know that there's still a need for a quarterback, possibly, probably, but those are the kind of players you mortgage your future for, are game-changing players. Sammy Watkins single-handedly changed that game for his team. You would like for that person to be a quarterback, and I understand that. But Sammy Watkins took over that game. The Vikings had no answer for him the whole time. He is the player of the game. He's probably the most valuable player for the Bills this year. You can make some cases for some of the guys on the defensive line. But here's your stat. When Sammy Watkins has 7 catches, and I know 7 catches is a lot. That's over, if you have 7 catches a game, you're catching 100 passes in a season. Math. When he's caught over 7 passes, Bills are 3-0. They beat Minnesota, they beat Miami, and they beat Detroit. He only had 4 catches in week 1 against Chicago. Bills come out victorious. But when Watkins has 6 catches or fewer, 1-3. Only win in week 1 against the Bears. So, I mean, there's a pretty telling statistic. Just get the guy the ball, because he makes that much of a difference in the game. Winning did come at a price on Sunday because we saw injuries sustained by, obviously, C.J. Spiller breaking his collarbone. I'm sure he's just not used to getting caught from behind. And a guy taps him on the heel, and he just falls, and he's moving so fast. I can't blame him. Collarbone broke, gave out. It sucks, it really does. Even though that was his first carry of the game. I don't want to lose C.J. Spiller. I don't care how much he was struggling. I don't want to lose him. I want to have him available. And I definitely don't want to lose Fred Jackson. He's the heart and soul of this team. And to see him go down probably for about 3 games, I'm guessing that because he's definitely not going to play this week, probably not going to play coming out of the bye, and definitely not going to play on 4 days rest against Miami. So he's probably going to miss 3 games. I obviously don't want him on the bench. He's your best runner between the tackles. He's your best pass blocking running back. And he might be your best leader on offense, or on the whole team. So, that's a blow. That is certainly a blow. You're going to finally get to see Bryce Brown. I know people were looking for Bryce Brown. You're finally going to get to see him. Congratulations. I'm sure that this is not the circumstances under which you would have liked to. It comes at a cost. Spiller's out for 8 weeks. Can't come back until the second last game of the season, which is nice if we're in the playoff hunt. But we're missing the thick of the games here. Jackson needs to be back for those Denver, Green Bay, New England, those things, towards the end of the season. And Spiller could be back he's going to miss at least 2 of them. He's going to miss at least Denver and Green Bay. So, we're going to get to see what Bryce Brown's made of. A lot of fans are, like Anthony Dixon. I think Anthony Dixon's going to be more the shotgun back, and Bryce Brown the Bills do run a lot out of shotgun, don't get me wrong. I think that's one of the knocks against Bryce Brown is he doesn't run well out of the shotgun, is that he sort of needs. I can't remember who said that on NFL Network. Scouts believe he needs a running start. Now, I didn't watch too much of him at Philadelphia. I remember a couple of games of his where he broke out. I remember a couple of games where he couldn't hold on to the football. And I guess ball security's been improved for him. But we're going to find out. The guy's going to get some touches. this week against the Jets. The Jets obviously have a pretty good run defense, but that said, they're 1-6. They've lost 6 games in a row. They haven't won since week 1. They've only beaten the Raiders at home. I mean, this is a divisional game. They have to win this game. Is it in a grand scheme of things, is it a must-win? No. But it's about as must-win as it gets. If the Bills lose, they fall to 4-4. They fall to 1-4 against the AFC. They fall under 500 in the division. It's just, and the Jets are 1-6. Just go out there and beat them. I'm running through the ideas of losing to the Jets right now, losing to Geno Smith, and it's driving me nuts. But, like I said, Sheldon Richardson and Muhammad Wilkerson are no joke in the middle. Calvin Pace can still play. The 3 of them have 10 sacks combined. The Jets are tied for 6th in the NFL with 20 sacks, I believe it is. The Bills are first with 24, and Mario Marcel and Jerry Hughes have 18 amongst them. Really encouraged by that. Could come down to that battle of defensive lines. Whose defensive line takes advantage of the other's offensive line? And now the Bills, some of the news that we're hearing this week, other than Brown and Dixon being the running backs, is Urbic at left guard, and that seems pretty obvious. I don't know. I don't really understand the stubbornness to play Craig Urbic just because he's your backup center to Eric Wood. Now they say that Eric Wood will probably get hurt. Sorry, knock on whatever. I was just surprised it took this long. Craig Urbic graded out pretty highly on Pro Football Focus last year. I think he was the 20th best guard, which is that superstar? No, but he's good. He's under contract for 2 more years, so I don't really know why they're even wasting their time with Piers at right guard. When Urbic played right guard last year, just put Urbic at right guard and just let Richardson, I don't know, do you want Richardson on Richardson or Wilkerson? That's a tough decision. I'm guessing that they're going with that because they want the veterans against the big defensive linemen for the Jets. And I can't say I hate that move too much, even as bad as Pierce has been. You know about Geno Smith. The Jets have Chris Ivory, who is running pretty well right now. The Bills are going to have to contain him. But people realize, do you guys even realize how well Chris Johnson runs against the Bills? Let me hit you with some knowledge. Chris Johnson, in 3 career games against the Bills, has 6 touchdowns. He has scored 2 times in each game. He has rushed for 480 yards. That's 160 yards per game against the Bills. He is averaging 7 yards per carry in 3 games against the Bills. Is he going to get that many touches? I don't know, and I know the Bills are better against the run. They're now 4th. They let Jerick McKinnon run all over him. Is Chris Ivory a similar style of back? Yeah, I would say so. But Chris Johnson not really getting the touches, but given the history there, that's got to be a point of emphasis, I think, to contain Chris Johnson. Definitely need to contain Chris Ivory and make Geno beat you. That's it. Contain Ivory and Johnson, make Geno beat you, because I don't think he can. He was definitely better last week against the Patriots, but I'm not convinced on him at all. And you shouldn't be. He is single-handedly capable of losing this game for the Jets. So, like I said, it could come down to the front 4, put pressure on Geno, stop the run for the Bills. Limit penalties. Don't kill yourself with penalties. The turnovers, the Jets have only forced 3 turnovers all season. So they have a -7 turnover ratio that only Jacksonville and Washington are worse. Orton has to protect the ball this week. Can't give the Jets extra opportunities. They're not good at taking the ball away to begin with. They've lost McDougal. They've lost Milner at corner. They got Antonio Allen, Darren Walls, and Kyle Wilson. Their backs are up against the wall there. We've got to jump on them right now. I know it's a road game, and it's not going to be simple. But and the Jets haven't really been blown out by any means. Except by San Diego. San Diego killed them. They're 1-3 at home. I think they've lost by 1 score in 4 out of 6 games. Denver beat them by 2 scores, but that was thanks to the pick 6 at the end of the game by Talib. The Jets were driving for the tie. The Jets have been in games late against New England and Denver the last couple weeks. So making it tough to predict. The Bills are sort of unpredictable, as they usually are. They've won 4 in a row against the Bills at the Meadowlands. Rex Ryan has a pretty good record against the Bills. He gets a lot of credit for being a good coach, but he hasn't finished above 500 in the last 4 seasons since 2010. And he's probably not going to this year. He's only won more than 9 games one time. Here I am calling out Rex Ryan, but he's been pretty good against the Bills. Last year, the Bills killed Geno Smith to the point where he got pulled from the game in Buffalo, but they did lose in the Justin Rogers game. You remember that, the Justin Rogers game. Justin Rogers pretty much single-handedly lost that game for the Bills. Despite the fact that Manuel got sacked like 8 times, and Justin Rogers allowed 75% of the passing yardage that day. The game was tied in the 4th quarter, and Justin Rogers allowed like a 54-yard touchdown. I can't relive it. I can't. Face palm. God. It's prediction time. This video is running. This video is running a little bit longer. So, like I said, again, thank you guys for coming out, watching this video, watching this far into the video. Hit me up on Twitter, comments, Facebook. My Twitter handle is the same as my username for YouTube, so you can find me on there. Like I said, I almost explicitly talk about the Bills, some other things, but pretty much just Bills. Prediction. I'm picking the Bills. Against my better judgment, I'm picking the Bills to win this game, not by a lot. Like I said, the Jets have been in most of their games. 24-16. 24-16 Bills. Guys, thanks for coming this far. One Buffalo. Enjoy your weekend, and go Bills.